In 1933, Neville Goddard walked into Abdullah's apartment in Harlem carrying a burden. He had been practicing visualization for months, hours every day, imagining scenes, feeling emotions, trying to manifest. Nothing was working. He was frustrated, exhausted, broke. He said to Abdullah, "I'm doing everything you taught me. I visualize, I feel, I assume. But nothing changes, nothing manifests. What am I doing wrong?" Abdullah looked at him with those ancient eyes, and he said something that made Neville's blood run cold. "You're not doing it wrong. You're doing the wrong thing. Visualization is a toy, a beginner's tool. There is something deeper, something I haven't taught you yet, a ritual. The ritual I learned in Ethiopia. The ritual that changes reality not in weeks or months, but in hours, sometimes minutes. But I didn't teach it to you because most people cannot handle it. Because this ritual doesn't just change your reality. It destroys who you think you are and rebuilds you as someone else entirely. Are you ready for that?" Neville said yes. And what Abdullah taught him in the next 3 hours was never published, never recorded, never shared in any lecture, until a manuscript was discovered in 2021, hidden in a private collection. 17 pages, handwritten, titled, "The Identity Collapse Ritual." And what those pages reveal is the most powerful technique ever taught. This is Hidden Mind Master, and this changes everything. Let me tell you what was in that manuscript. The first page begins, "Visualization is the kindergarten of manifestation. It works, but slowly, because when you visualize, you are still observing from the outside. You are seeing yourself having the thing, doing the thing, being the thing, but you are not IT. You are watching it like a movie, and consciousness knows the difference. It knows you are pretending. It knows you are hoping. It knows you are not being. So it responds slowly, cautiously, testing if you really mean it. But there is another way, the way I taught Neville, the way the ancient masters used. Not visualization, but ritual. Not imagining you are someone else, but becoming someone else. Through a process so complete, so total, that your body believes it. Your subconscious accepts it. Your consciousness collapses into it. And reality has no choice but to conform. Immediately. Inevitably. Absolutely. The manuscript reveals that Abdullah demonstrated this ritual to Neville that very night. He said, "I will show you. Then you will do it. Then you will never need visualization again." He asked Neville, "What do you want? What would make your life completely different?" Neville said, "I want to go to Barbados. I want to visit my family, but I have no money. No ticket. No way to get there." Abdullah said, "Good. That's impossible enough. Now close your eyes." Neville closed his eyes. Abdullah said, "I want you to do something different from visualization. I don't want you to see yourself in Barbados. I want you to be in Barbados. Right now. Not imagine being there. Not visualize being there. Be there. As if this room doesn't exist. As if New York doesn't exist. As if this body sitting here is the dream. And Barbados is the reality. Reverse it completely. Make the wish the reality. And the reality the dream." Neville wrote, "At first, I didn't understand. I tried to imagine Barbados. Abdullah stopped me. He said, 'You're still here imagining there. I want you there experiencing here as the dream. Switch it. You are not in New York imagining Barbados. You are in Barbados, and this moment in New York is a fading memory. A dream you just woke up from. Feel that. Feel the relief of waking up from the nightmare of lack. And being in the reality of fulfillment, Neville tried again. And this time, something shifted. He wrote, "For a moment, I felt it. I wasn't imagining Barbados. I was in Barbados. And this apartment, this conversation, this lack, all of it felt like a dream I was waking up from. It lasted only a few seconds. But in those seconds, something changed in my body. My breathing changed. My heartbeat changed. My entire nervous system shifted. I felt different, not hopeful, not positive, different, like I had actually moved, actually changed, actually become someone else." Abdullah said, "That's it. That's the ritual. That feeling, that shift, that's what collapses reality. Not hope, not belief, not visualization, but actual identity collapse. You stop being Neville Dash who dash wants dash to dash, go dash to dash Barbados. And you became Neville who's in Barbados. For those few seconds, you were him. And consciousness recorded it. Reality recorded it. Your nervous system recorded it. And now it must manifest. Because you didn't ask for it. You didn't visualize it. You became it. And what you become, you experience. Always. Without exception. The manuscript reveals. 3 weeks later, Neville received a first-class ticket to Barbados from his family. Spontaneously. With no prompting. Exactly as the ritual predicted. Now let me break down the ritual step by step. This is what was in those 17 pages. The technique Abdullah used. The technique Neville kept hidden. The technique that works faster than visualization. Step 1. Identify the identity you want to collapse into, not what you want to have. Who you want to be. This is critical. Most people say, "I want money." That's not an identity. That's a desire. An identity is, "I am wealthy. I am the person who has abundant money flowing to them constantly." Or, "I want love." That's not an identity. An identity is, "I am loved. I am the person who is cherished, desired, adored." The manuscript says, write it down. One sentence, "I am blank." Fill in the blank with the identity you want to collapse into. This is your new identity, your new self, your new reality. Not someday, now. Step 2. Dissolve your current identity. This is the part most people skip, and it's why visualization doesn't work. You can't become someone new while clinging to someone old. You must dissolve. Let go. Surrender. The manuscript gives a specific technique. Sit in silence, close your eyes, and feel into your current identity. Who are you right now? What beliefs define you? What limitations bind you? What stories do you tell yourself? Feel them, all of them. Then imagine them dissolving. Like sand washing away in water, like smoke dissipating in wind. Let every belief, every story, every limitation dissolve. Until you feel empty, undefined, formless, pure potential. The manuscript says, this feels like dying. And it is. You are dying to your old self. So a new self can be born. Don't resist it. Embrace it. Dissolution is not the end. It's the beginning. Step 3. Collapse into the new identity. This is where the ritual differs from visualization. You don't imagine the new identity. You collapse into it. The manuscript explains, after dissolution, after emptiness, there is a moment of pure potential. a gap, a space. In that space, you choose, you assume, you become. Not gradually, instantly. You don't build the new identity. You step into it, like stepping through a doorway, like putting on new clothes, like waking from one dream into another. And the technique is this. In that gap, that space, that moment of emptiness, declare your new identity out loud, with your voice, with your body, with your entire being. Say, I am blank. Whatever identity you chose in step 1, but don't say it like a hope. Say it like a fact. Like you're reminding yourself of something you temporarily forgot. Like you're waking up from amnesia and remembering who you really are. The manuscript gives Neville's exact words from that night. I am in Barbados. Not I will be. Not I want to be. I am, right now, this moment. And as I said it, Abdullah told me, say it until your body believes it. Until your nervous system accepts it. Until you feel the shift, the change, the collapse. And I did. I repeated it, over and over. I am in Barbados. I am in Barbados. I am in Barbados. And after about 5 minutes, something happened. My body relaxed. My breathing slowed. A wave of peace washed over me. Not hope. Not excitement. Peace. The peace of something already done. Already accomplished. Already real. Abdullah said, that's it. That's the collapse. You just became someone else. Someone who is in Barbados. And reality will conform to match who you just became. But here's the part that makes this a ritual instead of just an affirmation. The manuscript reveals step 4. Sustain the collapse for 72 hours. This is the hard part. This is why most people fail. They collapse into the new identity for a moment, for an hour, maybe a day. But then they fall back. They return to the old identity, the old beliefs, the old limitations, and the ritual fails. Not because it doesn't work, but because they didn't sustain it. Abdullah told Neville, for the next 3 days, you must live as if you're already in Barbados. Not hope to be there. Not visualize being there. Live as if you already are. Every thought, every word, every action must come from the identity of someone who's already there. When doubt comes, and it will, you don't fight it. You simply return to the identity. I am Barbados. When evidence contradicts you, and it will, you don't argue with it. You simply maintain the identity. I am in Barbados. When people ask you questions, you answer from the new identity, not the old one. The manuscript gives a specific example. Someone asked Neville, are you going to Barbados? The old identity would say, I hope so. I'm trying. I want to. But the new identity says, I'm already there. And when the person looked confused, Neville didn't explain, didn't justify, didn't defend. He just smiled. Because he knew something they didn't. He had collapsed into a reality where he was already in Barbados. And their confusion was part of the old reality, the dream he was waking up from. The manuscript says, this is the discipline of the ritual. To maintain the new identity even when everything around you contradicts it. Especially when everything contradicts it. Because the contradiction is the lag, the delay, the gap between your inner collapse and the outer manifestation. And if you waver during the lag, you return to the old reality, and the ritual fails. Now let me show you why this works faster than visualization. The manuscript explains the mechanism. Visualization is imagination, and imagination is powerful. but it's still observation. You are here observing there. You are this self imagining that self. There is separation. There is distance. There is time. And consciousness responds to that separation with, okay, I'll bring it to you. Eventually, when you're ready. When you've proven you really want it. But the ritual is different. The ritual is not observation. It's transformation. You're not imagining a different self. You're becoming a different self. And when you become, there is no distance, no separation, no time. Consciousness doesn't need to bring anything to you, because you already are it. And what you are, you experience, immediately, without delay, without conditions. This is why the ritual works in hours or days, instead of weeks or months. Because you're not asking consciousness to change you. You're changing yourself. And consciousness simply reflects the change. The manuscript reveals that Abdullah taught Neville. Most people think manifestation is about getting consciousness to give them what they want. But consciousness doesn't give you anything. Consciousness is you. You are not separate from it. You are it, experiencing itself. So manifestation is not about asking. It's about becoming. When you become something, consciousness doesn't decide whether to give it to you. It simply experiences what you've become and reflects it back, instantly, inevitably. This is the secret of the ritual. You're not manifesting. You're not creating. You're not attracting. You're collapsing. Collapsing into a version of yourself that already exists in the infinite field of possibilities. And consciousness experiences the collapse as reality. Here's the proof the ritual works. The manuscript contains testimonials from Neville's private students. Students who learned the ritual but were told never to share it publicly. One student wrote, "I used the ritual to collapse into the identity of someone who owned their own home. I had no money for a down payment, no credit, no realistic path to ownership. But I did the ritual. I dissolved my identity as a renter. I collapsed into the identity of a homeowner. I am a homeowner. I repeated it until my body believed it. For 3 days, I lived as a homeowner. I walked through my rental apartment as if I owned it. I made decisions as an owner would make them. I felt the peace and security of ownership. On day 4, my landlord called. He said he was selling the building, and he wanted to offer me first right to purchase my unit at a price I could afford. With owner financing, no bank, no credit check, I became a homeowner. Not through planning, not through working, through collapsing into the identity and reality conforming to match." Another student wrote, "I collapsed into the identity of someone in perfect health. I had been diagnosed with a chronic condition. Doctors said it was incurable, progressive, degenerative, but I didn't accept that reality. I used the ritual. I dissolved my identity as sick. I collapsed into the identity of healthy. I am healthy. I am vibrant. I am strong. For 72 hours, I maintained that identity. I moved as a healthy person moves. I ate as a healthy person eats. I thought as a healthy person thinks. And on the 4th day, I went back to the doctor for routine tests. The condition was gone, completely. The doctor couldn't explain it, called it spontaneous remission. But I knew what happened. I didn't heal the condition. I collapsed into a reality where the condition never existed, and my body conformed to that reality." The manuscript reveals why Abdullah called this forbiddance, because it works too well, too fast, too completely. And most people are not ready for that level of power. He told Neville, "If you teach this openly, people will misuse it. They will collapse into identities motivated by ego, fear, revenge. And they will manifest those realities. And then they will suffer the consequences. Because you cannot collapse into an identity without experiencing that identity fully. If you collapse into the identity of someone who has money through exploitation, you will have money, but you will also have the consciousness of an exploiter, and you will experience that. If you collapse into the identity of someone who is loved through manipulation, you will be loved, but you will also have the consciousness of a manipulator, and you will experience that. So I only teach this ritual to those who understand. What you become, you experience. Choose your identities wisely, because you will live them completely." Now here's the advanced technique. The part of the ritual Abdullah taught Neville years later, after he had proven he could handle it. The manuscript calls it rapid identity shifting. Once you master the basic ritual, once you can collapse into an identity and sustain it for 72 hours, you can begin to shift identities rapidly throughout the day. For different situations, different goals, different experiences. You don't need 72 hours anymore. You can collapse in minutes, sometimes seconds. You walk into a business meeting. You collapse into the identity of someone powerful, respected, influential. You feel the shift, and you show up as that person. The meeting responds accordingly. You have a difficult conversation. You collapse into the identity of someone who is heard, understood, valued. You feel the shift, and you speak from that identity. The conversation responds accordingly. You face a challenge. You collapse into the identity of someone who overcomes easily, who finds solutions naturally, who wins consistently. You feel the shift, and you act from that identity. The challenge responds accordingly. The manuscript says, this is how Abdullah lived. He didn't have one identity. He had infinite identities, and he shifted between them fluidly, effortlessly, constantly, depending on what he wanted to experience. This is mastery. Not being locked into oneself, but being free to become any self, at any moment, for any purpose, and experiencing reality shift to match, immediately, every single time. Neville wrote, "When I finally understood this, when I finally mastered rapid shifting, I realized I am not Neville Goddard. Neville Goddard is an identity I'm wearing, and I can take it off, put on another, take that off, put on another, infinitely, forever. I am not bound by any identity. I am the chooser of identities, the wearer of masks, the player of roles, and reality is my stage, conforming to whatever role I choose to play." This is the end of part 1. In part 2, we reveal the exact 72-hour protocol, the specific words to use, the precise feelings to cultivate, the common mistakes that break the ritual, and the advanced techniques for collapsing into multiple identities simultaneously. We also reveal what happened to the students who misused the ritual, who collapsed into dark identities, and what they experienced. The consequences no one talks about. This is hidden mind master, and the forbidden ritual is about to become yours. Welcome back. In part 1, we revealed the forbidden ritual, the identity collapse ritual that Abdullah taught Neville in secret, the ritual that works faster than visualization, not because it's more powerful, but because it's more direct. You don't imagine being someone else. you become someone else, and reality conforms to who you become. Now, in part 2, we reveal the exact protocol, the 72-hour process, step by step, word by word, feeling by feeling. We also reveal what happens when the ritual is misused, the dark consequences, the students who collapsed into the wrong identities, and what they experienced. This is Hidden Mind Master, and this is the complete Forbiddance ritual. Let me give you the exact 72-hour protocol. This is what was in the manuscript. The process Abdullah taught Neville. The process that cannot fail if followed precisely. Hour 0. The moment you begin. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed for at least 30 minutes. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes and begin with dissolution. This is non-negotiable. You cannot collapse into a new identity while clinging to the old one, so you must dissolve first. The manuscript gives the exact technique. Focus on your breath. With each exhale, release one aspect of your current identity. Exhale. I release the belief that I am limited. Exhale. I release the story that I am unworthy. Exhale. I release the identity of someone who struggles. Continue until you feel empty, formless, undefined. This takes between 5 and 15 minutes. You'll know you've reached dissolution when you feel a sense of floating, of spaciousness, of not being anyone in particular. The manuscript says, this feeling is uncomfortable. Your ego will resist. It will create thoughts to pull you back. Ignore them. Stay in the emptiness. This is the portal. Hour 1. The collapse. From the state of emptiness, you make the declaration. Out loud, with conviction. The exact words matter. The manuscript provides the formula. I am identity. Not I want to be. Not I will be. Not I choose to be. I am. Present tense. Absolute. Final. For example, I am wealthy. I am loved. I am healthy. I am successful. I am free. Choose one identity. Only one. For this 72-hour cycle. Do not try to collapse into multiple identities simultaneously. That comes later. For now, focus. One identity, one collapse, one reality. The manuscript says, repeat the declaration until you feel the shift. You'll know the shift has happened when 3 things occur simultaneously. First, your breathing changes. It becomes slower, deeper, more relaxed. Second, your body releases tension you didn't know you were holding. Third, you feel a wave of peace. Not excitement, not hope, peace. The peace of something already done. Hours 2 through 24, sustaining the collapse. This is where most people fail. They achieve the collapse. They feel the shift, but then they return to normal life. And within hours, they're back in the old identity, the old beliefs, the old limitations. The ritual fails. The manuscript gives specific instructions. For the next 22 hours, you must live from the new identity. Every thought, every word, every action must come from the new self, not the old self. This means, when you speak, ask yourself, how would the new identity speak? When you make decisions, ask yourself, what would the new identity choose? When you encounter challenges, ask yourself, how would the new identity respond? You are method acting, but not pretending, becoming. There's a difference. Pretending means you know it's not real. Becoming means you've made it real through your conviction. The manuscript gives a critical warning. During these 24 hours, people will test you, not consciously. But your reality will present situations designed to pull you back to the old identity. Someone will ask you a question that assumes the old you. Someone will make a comment that reinforces the old limitation. Someone will offer help that implies you still need it. These are tests. And your response determines if the ritual succeeds or fails. The correct response is, remain in the new identity. If someone asks, are you still struggling with money? The old identity says, yes, it's been tough. The new identity says, I'm wealthy. Or simply, I'm doing great. If someone offers help assuming you're still limited, the old identity accepts gratefully. The new identity declines politely, not from pride, but from alignment, because the new identity doesn't need that kind of help. It exists in a different reality. Hours 24 through 48. The resistance phase. The manuscript warns. This is when the ritual gets difficult. Your subconscious will resist. Your body will resist. Your environment will resist. Because you're changing the fundamental operating system, and systems resist change. The resistance comes in three forms. First, doubt. Thoughts will appear. This isn't working. Nothing is changing. I'm just pretending. The manuscript says, these thoughts are not yours. They're the old identity trying to survive. Don't engage with them. Don't argue with them. Simply notice them and return to the declaration. I am identity. Second, physical symptoms. Fatigue, restlessness, anxiety, discomfort. The manuscript explains, your nervous system is recalibrating. Your body is adjusting to a new frequency. This is normal. This is good. It means the ritual is working. Rest when you need to. But don't abandon the identity. Third, external challenges. Something will go wrong. Something will seem to contradict your new identity. You're collapsing into wealth and an unexpected bill arrives. You're collapsing into health and you feel sick. You're collapsing into love and you have an argument. The manuscript is explicit about this. These contradictions are not signs the ritual is failing. They are the old reality catching up. Reality is reorganizing around your new identity. But there's a lag, a delay, like ripples in water. You dropped a stone at hour 0. The ripples are still spreading. Don't let the old reality convince you to return to the old identity. This is the crucial moment. The manuscript says, if you waver during the resistance phase, you lose everything. You return to the old identity. The old reality solidifies, and the ritual fails. But if you persist, if you maintain the new identity through the resistance, you break through. And reality shifts, completely, irreversibly. Hours 48 through 72. The integration phase. The manuscript describes this as the most peaceful phase. The resistance has passed. The old identity has dissolved. The new identity has solidified. And now you're simply living it, naturally, effortlessly, without trying. The declaration is no longer needed. You don't have to remind yourself, I am identity. You just are. It's become automatic, unconscious, real. During these final 24 hours, the manuscript instructs, pay attention to synchronicities, to unexpected opportunities, to people showing up differently, to circumstances shifting. This is reality conforming to your new identity, not gradually, but suddenly, in ways you couldn't have predicted or planned. Someone offers you exactly what your new identity would have. A door opens that was previously closed. A solution appears that was previously impossible. These are not coincidences. These are confirmations. Reality is responding to who you've become. The manuscript gives Neville's experience. By hour 60, I received a ticket to Barbados. Not through my family deciding to send it. Through a series of events so perfectly orchestrated that it seemed impossible. My brother had a dream about me. Woke up compelled to send a ticket. Didn't know why. Just felt he had to. The money appeared in his account unexpectedly from a forgotten debt repaid. Everything aligned. Perfectly. Impossibly. And I knew. This is the ritual working. This is reality conforming. Not to my wish, to my identity. I had become someone who was in Barbados. And reality had no choice but to manifest a bridge between my inner identity and my outer circumstance. Now let me reveal the advanced technique. The one Abdullah taught Neville years later. The manuscript calls it simultaneous identity layering. Once you've mastered the basic ritual, once you can collapse into a single identity and sustain it for 72 hours, you can begin layering multiple identities. Not conflicting identities, complementary ones. For example, I am wealthy, and I am healthy, and I am loved. The technique is the same. Dissolution, then collapse. But instead of one declaration, you make 3, in sequence, each one building on the previous. I am wealthy. Feel the shift. Then, I am healthy. Feel that shift layer onto the first. Then, I am loved. Feel that shift layer onto the previous two. The manuscript warns, this is advanced. Don't attempt it until you've successfully completed at least 3 single identity rituals. Because layering requires more energy, more focus, more discipline. If you waver on any layer, they all collapse, and you return to the baseline. But when done correctly, the manuscript says, the results are exponential, not additive. You don't get wealth plus health plus love. You get a completely transformed reality where all 3 exist simultaneously and synergistically. Wealth supports health. Health supports love. Love supports wealth. They reinforce each other, creating a reality so different from your starting point that it seems like magic, like a different dimension, like you've stepped through a portal into a parallel universe. And in a sense, you have, because that's what the ritual does. It doesn't change your reality. It shifts you into a different reality, one where the identity you've become is the natural state. Now let me reveal what happens when the ritual is misused. The manuscript contains a section titled, The Dark Collapses. Abdullah's warnings. Accounts of students who collapsed into identities motivated by ego, fear, or revenge, and what they experienced. One student collapsed into the identity of, I am powerful, but his motivation was domination, control, superiority over others. The ritual worked. He became powerful, influential. People bent to his will. Doors opened. Opportunities came. But the manuscript reveals, within 6 months, he was isolated. Feared but not loved. Respected but not trusted. His power created enemies. His influence created resentment. He got what he became. But he also became what he got. A person whose power was based on control. And that identity was a prison, not a liberation. Another student collapsed into, I am wealthy. But his identity was built on scarcity consciousness, on hoarding, On fear of loss, the ritual worked. Money came, more than he'd ever had. But the manuscript reveals he couldn't enjoy it. Every dollar he gained, he feared losing. He became obsessed with protecting his wealth, paranoid about people wanting to take it. His wealth grew, but his peace disappeared. He got what he became, wealthy, but he also became what he got. Someone whose identity was built on fear, and that fear consumed him. The manuscript says, this is the danger of the ritual. It works unconditionally. It doesn't ask if the identity is healthy. It doesn't judge if the motivation is pure. It simply collapses you into whatever identity you choose, and you experience that identity fully. Not just the benefits, but the consciousness, the perspective, the limitations of that identity. Abdullah warned Neville, before you collapse into any identity, ask yourself, do I want to be this person? Not just have what they have, but be who they are. Think like they think. Feel like they feel. Experience reality through their lens. Because that's what will happen. You will become them, completely. And you cannot selectively experience an identity. You get all of it. If you collapse into the identity of someone who is famous, you get fame. But you also get lack of privacy, constant scrutiny, the pressure of public image. If you collapse into the identity of someone who is desired, you get attention. But you also get objectification, shallow relationships. People wanting you for what you represent, not who you are. Choose wisely, because the ritual doesn't discriminate. It gives you exactly what you become, nothing more, nothing less. The manuscript reveals the safeguards Abdullah taught. 3 questions to ask before any collapse. First, is this identity aligned with my deepest values? Not my ego's desires. My deepest values. If the identity requires you to violate what you truly value, don't collapse into it. You'll get it, but you'll hate yourself. Second, will this identity serve not just me, but others? The most sustainable identities are those that create value for everyone, not just the self. If your wealth comes at others' expense, you'll get wealth, but you'll also get the karma of that expense. Third, can I sustain being this identity forever? Not just for 72 hours, forever. Because once you collapse, you become. And becoming is not temporary. It's a new baseline, a new normal. If you can't imagine being this identity for the rest of your life, don't collapse into it. Choose a different one. Now let me give you the final piece. The piece that makes this ritual complete. The manuscript calls it the Integration Declaration. After 72 hours, after the collapse is complete, after reality has shifted, you make one final declaration. Out loud, with gratitude, with recognition. The exact words. I am grateful for who I have become. I honor this identity. I commit to living as this identity, not for 72 hours, but from now on. This is who I am. This is my truth. This is my reality. The manuscript says, this declaration seals the ritual. It tells your subconscious, this is permanent, not temporary. It tells reality, this is who I am now. Adjust accordingly. And it tells your consciousness, you are no longer who you were. You are who you've become. Accept it. Embody it. Live it. Here's the final truth the manuscript reveals. The truth Abdullah told Neville in their last conversation. The truth that explains why this ritual works when nothing else does. He said, You think you are discovering a technique, but you're not. You're remembering a truth. The truth that you have always been infinite. That you have always been able to collapse into any identity, any reality, any experience. You did it as a child when you played pretend. You became a king, a warrior, a hero. And for those moments, you were. Not pretending, being. Then you were taught to stop. To be realistic. To accept one fixed identity. And you forgot. You forgot you are not a fixed self. You are infinite possibility, choosing which possibility to experience. The ritual doesn't give you a new power. It reminds you of the power you've always had, the power to choose who you are, and to become it, completely, instantly, irreversibly. This is the Forbidden Ritual, the Identity Collapse Ritual. The technique Abdullah taught Neville in secret. The technique Neville kept hidden from the public. The technique that works faster than visualization, because it's not imagination. It's transformation, not hoping to become, but choosing to be. And what you choose to be, you experience immediately, inevitably, absolutely. The manuscript ends with one final instruction from Abdullah. Use this power wisely, because you will experience everything you become, every thought, every feeling, every consequence. You are not separate from your identities. You are them. So choose identities that create beauty, that serve others, that honor the infinite within you. Because you are not just creating your reality, you are creating yourself. And the self you create is the self you'll live as, forever. Here's what you do now. If you're ready, if you understand the power and the responsibility, choose one identity, one transformation, one collapse. Write it down. I am identity. Then follow the protocol. 72 hours. No exceptions. No wavering. No returning to the old self. Dissolve. Collapse. Sustain. Integrate. And watch as reality reorganizes around who you've become. Not in weeks. Not in months. In days. Sometimes hours. This is not theory. This is not philosophy. This is practical magic. Proven, tested, documented by Neville, by his students, and now by you. The question is not, does it work? The question is, who will you become? This is Hidden Mind Master, where forbidden techniques are revealed, where ancient rituals meet modern application, where you discover you are not who you think you are. You are who you choose to be, and the choosing is the ritual. The becoming is the result, and the experience is the proof. Welcome to the Identity Collapse Ritual. Welcome to the fastest manifestation technique ever taught. Welcome to the power you've always had, but forgot you possessed. Use it wisely. Use it well. Use it now. Your new identity is waiting, and reality is ready to conform. The only question remaining is, are you ready to become?